What if I told you that you don't need a raise, you don't need a second job, and you definitely don't need to win the lottery to pay off $10 zeros in of debt? Yeah, I know how that sounds. Because when most people hear debt payoff, they immediately think more income, work harder, hustle more, sacrifice everything. And if you were not earning more, then you were stuck. That's the belief that keeps people trapped. But here's the truth, the uncomfortable truth that almost nobody talks about. Most people don't have an income problem. They have a system problem. And once I figured that out, everything changed. I'm talking about going from feeling completely overwhelmed, checking my bank account with anxiety, avoiding credit card notifications, to finally seeing that number go down week after week, month after month, until one day it hit zero. No raise, no new job, just a smarter way to use what I already had. And if you've ever felt like no matter how hard I try, I just can't get ahead, then this is going to hit different for you. Because in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I paid off $10 debt, step by step, using a real strategy that anyone can follow, even if your income stays the same. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to take back control, because that feeling, that shift, that moment when you realize you were not stuck anymore, that's everything. So let's get into it, because here's what most people don't realize at the beginning of their debt-free journey. It's not about math first. It's about mindset. Before I paid off a single dollar, I had to face something uncomfortable. I had to stop lying to myself. You know, that little voice that says, it's not that bad, or I'll deal with it next month, or once I make more money, I'll fix everything. Yeah, that voice. I listened to it for years, and it kept me exactly where I was. So the first real shift happened when I sat down, looked at the total, and did look away. $10,000, not guessing, not estimating the exact number. And it felt heavy, like really heavy. But here's the part most people ignore. That moment, that uncomfortable, honest moment, is actually where your power begins. Because once you know your number, you can build a plan. Before that, you were just reacting. So I wrote it down. All of it. Every credit card, every balance, every minimum payment. And suddenly something strange happened. It didn't feel impossible anymore. It felt measurable. And that leads to the first real strategy that changed everything. I stopped thinking monthly and started thinking weekly. Now this sounds small, almost too simple, but this is where things get interesting. When you think in months, everything feels far away. Your paycheck comes, your bills go out, and somehow it feels like nothing changed. But when you switch to weekly thinking, everything becomes immediate, real, controllable. Instead of saying, I'll pay $400 this month, I told myself, I need to find $100 this week. And that feels different, right? Because now your brain starts working, okay, where can I find $100 in the next 7 days? Maybe it's eating out less. Maybe it's canceling something you forgot you were even paying for. Maybe it's just being more aware. But suddenly, you were in the game. Every week becomes a small win. And small wins stack. Week after week, that $100 becomes $200, $300, $500. You were making real progress. Now here's where most people mess up. They try to change everything at once, cut every expense, track every dollar, be perfect, and they burn out in 2 weeks. I did that too, multiple times. But the strategy that actually worked was focusing on just one thing at a time, just one. For me, it was food. I realized I was spending way more than I thought, not on big things, but on small, daily decisions. Coffee here, takeout there. I'm too tired to cook tonight. It added up fast. So instead of overhauling my entire life, I made one rule: no unnecessary food spending for 7 days. Just 7, not forever, not extreme, just 1 week. And that week changed everything, because it showed me what was possible. It proved that I had more control than I thought. And when that week ended, I didn't go back. I extended it. Then I added another small change and another. And that's how real progress happens, not through perfection, but through momentum. Now, here's the part almost nobody talks about. You don't just need to cut expenses. You need to redirect them. because if you just cut spending and don't do anything with that extra money, it disappears. It gets absorbed into random purchases. Life happens. So every dollar I saved had a job immediately. If I did spend $20 on takeout, that $20 went straight to debt, not later, not at the end of the month, right away. Because delay is dangerous. Delay is where discipline breaks. So I made it automatic. Every time I saved money, I paid debt, and something powerful started to happen. I began to see debt not as this huge, scary number, but as something I could chip away at daily. And that mental shift, changes everything. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you. I didn't start with the highest interest debt. I didn't follow the perfect math. Instead, I focused on quick wins because motivation matters more than optimization, especially at the beginning. I picked the smallest balance and I attacked it aggressively. And when it was gone, that feeling, that moment when one debt disappears completely, it's addictive in a good way. It builds confidence. It proves that your system works. And suddenly, you were not just trying anymore, you were doing it. Then I rolled that payment into the next debt, and the next, and the next. And things started accelerating. This is where things really take off because now you were not just paying minimums, you were stacking momentum. And it snowballs, literally. But here's something deeper, something emotional. There were moments, a lot of them, where I wanted to quit, where I thought, this isn't worth it. Everyone else is enjoying life. Why am I sacrificing so much? And in those moments, I had to remind myself, this is punishment. This is freedom. Every dollar I paid was loss. It was progress. It was control. It was a step closer to not feeling stressed every time my phone buzzed. And that perspective shift kept me going. Now, here's a strategy that made a huge difference, and almost nobody uses it properly. I created friction for bad spending and ease for good decisions. What does that mean? It means I made it harder to spend money and easier to save it. I removed my card from apps. I avoided stores I didn't need. I gave myself a pause before buying anything, even something small, because most spending is emotional. It's impulsive. And when you slow it down, even just a little, you start making better choices. At the same time, I made debt payments easy, automatic, simple, no thinking required. So one path became harder, the other became easier. And guess which one I followed more often? Exactly. Now here's where things get really powerful. I stopped thinking of debt payoff as something I had to do and started seeing it as something I was choosing to do. That shift from obligation to choice changes your entire experience because now you were not stuck. You were not stuck. You were in control. You're not a victim of your situation. You were the one changing it. And that feeling, that control, that's what keeps you consistent, even when it's hard, even when progress feels slow. Now let's talk about the final piece, the one that ties everything together, consistency over intensity. Because anyone can go all in for a week, cut everything, be perfect. But real life does type work like that. Life is messy. Unexpected expenses happen. Motivation drops. Energy fades. So instead of chasing perfection, I focused on showing up every week, no matter what. Even if it was a small payment, even if it felt insignificant, I kept going. Because consistency compounds. And over time, those small actions become big results. Before I knew it, $10,000 was gone. Not overnight, not magically, but steadily, predictably, and most importantly, sustainably. Now let's bring this all together because if you were sitting there thinking, okay, but what do I actually do? Here's the simple version. You get honest about your numbers. You think weekly, not monthly. You focus on one change at a time. You redirect every saved dollar. You go for quick wins first. You create friction for bad habits. And you stay consistent, even when it's boring, especially when it's boring, because that's where real change happens. And if you take anything from this video, let it be this. You don't need more money to start. You need a better system. And once you have that, everything changes. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Sit down, write your number, face it. Then pick one small action, just one. and start, because the hardest part is the math. It's the beginning. And once you take that first step, you were already ahead of where you were. And if this helped you, if something clicked for you, if you finally feel like, okay, maybe I can do this, then make sure you subscribe, because this is just the beginning. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build a simple budget that actually works, even if you've failed at budgeting before. And trust me, that's where things really start to change. So take action, start today, and I'll see you in the next one.